Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Friday, and all of our guests, including Jeff Paterson, standing by. Brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Don't miss the game because your car needs servicing. Langley Chrysler will pick up, service, and drop off your car so you don't have to miss the action. Valet service only at langleychrysler.com. Just before we get to Jeff, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. The amount of ripping that goes on regarding the clips is unreal. This is unsigned. Did I say that? I'm on the edge of my seat every day watching and making sure they all play okay and in order. It's becoming my favorite segment
of the show. Donnie does do it properly in the pregame. It's our pregame meeting. It's Henderson who screws it up.
Derek plays a part too. We just throw everybody.
Yeah, well, I don't play the clip, so actually, really, it's not even my fault. It's somebody else's.
Wow.
Oh, no, you're throwing Derek under the bus.
Of the time,
we did too.
Most of the time, it is my fault. So.
No, it's probably my fault too.
It's not on this side of the fence. I'll tell you that much.
Up until 2 last night. I was like a Canuck getting into the hotel in Minnesota. Jeff Paterson joining us now. Canucks lose 3-2 in Minnesota in overtime in Dallas on Saturday. Jeff, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm terrific, guys, and I'm excited. I've got the Friday time slot, which is usually held for Grant. I think he was traveling this week. So, Dollywall, I don't want to hear about my hair. I don't want to be compared to Pitbull at the end of the segment.
Hey.
None of that.
No. You're much better looking than Drance. That's not hard to do, but very happy to have you here Friday, not him. Kojak.
Hey, Jeff, Canucks lose to the Wild, but they get a point. Given the circumstances, the travel, all of that, who they were up against, 3 out of 4 points, would you consider that a solid accomplishment?
Donnie, that was pretty impressive stuff. When you think the way the homestand ended, I think I was like a lot of people that probably thought that was the death knell for them. The 1-0 loss to Detroit and then followed up by the weekend where they only got the single point against Calgary and Buffalo. And so to go into Colorado at the start of the road trip, only 3 regulation losses for the Avalanche prior to Wednesday night. And so the Canucks joined select company there. And then you've documented the challenges going into Minnesota and back-to-back. Those are 2 of the highest scoring teams in the National Hockey League. And the Canucks held them to 3 goals in regulation, given all of those challenges. So full credit to the Vancouver Canucks. You cannot quarrel with the effort level. I didn't think they backed down from a Minnesota team that is going to be fun to watch in the playoffs because they're just going to try to bully their opponents, and we'll see if they have success with that strategy. But, yeah, I didn't think the Canucks shied away. And, in fact, for them to have, whatever it was that they needed in the tank in the third period to get the equalizer to force overtime, all of that, like across the board, a lot of good things done by the Vancouver Canucks in Colorado and Minnesota. And yet, again, it just underscores how difficult it is when you're chasing and trying to make up ground that they get a single point and they're happy with it. But too many teams around them got the full complement of 2 points last night. And so they actually lose ground in the playoff chase. And that's just, their lot in life right now.
Bo Horvat, I would say, well, I don't know if it was heavily criticized, but definitely criticized coming out of COVID protocol when the numbers just weren't there. But 5 goals in his last 6 games. Impressive numbers if you want to go deeper as well. Everybody talks about JT Miller being a UFA at the end of next year. Same thing with Bo Horvat. But what are you seeing lately, Jeff, from Bo?
Well, we've always known that he can be a scorer at the National Hockey League level. I think the knock on him is if he's going to be an all-around centerman, it's his playmaking, and there's still room for him to grow in that department. But you can't knock the rate that he's scoring right now. And, in fact, he and JT Miller have each scored in the last 3 games. They've combined for 6 of the last 7 goals the Canucks have scored. But beyond that, Donnie, 12 of the last 20 that the Canucks have scored as a team have come off the stick of either Horvat or Miller. It's incredible that they're still within an arm's reach of the playoff race when they really only have 2 guys going offensively. Besser, that was a nice goal in Colorado, but he's gone a little quiet. Elias Pettersson, and I know that he's playing through something. He has 1 goal in his last 10 games. People aren't talking about that. And Connor Garland, remember when Connor Garland played for the Vancouver? Connor Garland just way too quiet at this point of the season. No goals in 13, 1 in 15. And so they're leaving all the heavy lifting to Bo Horvat and JT Miller. And Bo Horvat's doing a ton of it, and it's great to see. And as I said, he's always been a scorer, and certainly on the power play, that interior move, the bumper spot. You know what I liked about Bo Horvat's game last night, though, outside of opening the scoring, and we've talked about starts to hockey games, and so the captain setting the tone there, showed a little edge. And I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Now, I know he took a penalty in the third period when it was tied at 2, and so maybe that's playing with fire a little bit, but it was a game that had some heat last night, and I thought the captain stepped up in that regard. And you know, I'm not expecting it 82 times a season. That's not really in his nature. But there are times, there are games, there are opponents where you have to up your level and match what's on the other side. You talked about Luke Schenn setting a tone early on. I was glad to see Bo Horvat dig in and sort of give back in that third period.
Jeff, Lockwood called up today, so no injury. Surprising a little. They're still, I thought they'd have to be totally out of the playoffs before they started calling up guys from Abbey, but they've done that with Lockwood. Got to take a look at him. Could he be the guy that replaces Mott? Your thoughts on Lockwood getting called up?
Yeah, I'm excited, and I think he should be too. He got his taste of the NHL sort of last year, the season in the cover of COVID with no fans in the stands, so you work hard to get to the NHL, and then that. Games that didn't mean anything. So here he's going to get a chance to play in meaningful games, full buildings, intensity, all of that. So we'll see if they plug him in Dallas. I hope they do. And I think you can make a strong case that a guy like Alex Chason, who has given the Canucks what they hoped for on a PTO, but could you take him out of the lineup for a few nights here? Sure you could. So I wonder if they plug him in there. I thought that line, though, was pretty good last night in Minnesota, and Podkolzin with that backhand chance with about 7 minutes to go. But I like the tenacity of Will Lockwood. I like the fact that he's rounded out his penalty-killing game at the American Hockey League level. We know that the Canucks don't have a ton of legitimate prospects in the system, so I think this should be exciting for Canuck fans to get a chance to see him play in a meaningful game here down the stretch, and I would think he would be motivated to show and put his best foot forward. You talk about no injury, Rick. I was shocked that the Canucks went out on this 4 games and 6-night road trip with no healthy spares. Like, you just don't see that in the NHL very often. And had they suffered an injury in Colorado, they would have had to put a call in and, somebody have to travel on game day to Minnesota. So it makes sense to me that you would bring up somebody just as a spare part, even if he wasn't going to play, but better still if Will Lockwood gets the opportunity to get plugged in. Now, I also say, Chason, that might be the spot, but guys, I was shocked as well that Matthew Highmore was good to go on back-to-back nights after having to go to the quiet room and the heavy hit by Curtis McDermott in Colorado. So I was happy that Highmore was able to pop back up and play the next night. But, we'll see. I mean, maybe there were some bumps and bruises. Again, that's a Minnesota team that takes a strip off of you. So we'll have to do a body count. It's a day off for the Canucks today before the game in Dallas. And so we'll have to wait to morning skate to see exactly who's available and who's going to be in the lineup against the Stars.
We ran a clip of Luke Schenn in the first segment, Jeff, talking about his respect for the Wild. Bo Horvat said much the same post-game. Do you think the Wild can make some noise in the playoffs?
They're going to be a fascinating team to watch, and if they draw Nashville in the first round, and that's quite possible, the Predators are a big, strong team as well. Yeah. One of the top teams in the league in fighting majors. Now, fighting goes away in the playoffs, but they're still a physical team that doesn't shy away. The addition of Kaprizov obviously gives Minnesota an element that they haven't had for a number of years. So, you can't just say that this is a rough and tumble team. They've got some high-end skill as well. And 4 out of 7, they're going to wear opponents down. There's no doubt about it. I'm not sure I'd want to be a defenseman going back for a puck an awful lot in a series like that one. You saw Delorier and the hit on Travis Dermott. Of course, it was Nick Delorier still when he was with Anaheim that took Kyle Burroughs out on a similar collision here in Vancouver, and Burroughs has yet to return to the lineup. So it's Delorier, it's Foligno, Jordan Greenway every shift. You notice him. He's 6'6", 230 or 240. They're going to be a handful. I guess I wonder if there's enough offense there to match up against teams like Colorado or Calgary, if in fact they get through a round or two. But still, it's fascinating because they look like they're built for the playoffs in 1975, Donnie, not 2022.
Yeah, goaltending's not bad either with Fleury and Talbot. There's all of that. Great job filling in for Thomas Drance. Thanks so much, J-Pat. Appreciate it. Looking good. Looking good.
Yeah, much more hair than the other guy.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, guys.